Welcome to the lecture series of on employee relations and labor laws. Today we will discuss about the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. I am Dr. Kokila Saxena from JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. Today I will be talking about Industrial Disputes Act, and in this act I will talk about various objectives of industrial disputes. We will talk about what are industrial relations as well as industrial disputes. Then we will talk about features of the act, and then various terms used under the act. Then we will talk about various authorities under Industrial Disputes Act 1947 one by one. We will discuss about what are these processes and how they work, what are their powers and their duties. We will study all this in today's lecture. So, if I talk about Industrial Dispute Act, I would like to talk about industrial relations first. Now, industrial relations are the relations between management and workers, between management and between workers and workers. We do include three types of relations under industrial relations, because any dispute between any of the relation will affect the working culture of the organization negatively, and that can result into industrial dispute also. So, industrial disputes in the same way, any dispute between workmen and workmen, any dispute between employers and employers, or any dispute between workmen and employers will be deemed as industrial dispute. One thing which you have to take care, which you have to remember always is that if there is any dispute between any individual workman and management, this will be deemed as individual dispute. This will not be supposed as industrial dispute, but if that dispute is supported by the trade union of the organization, then it will become industrial dispute. So, this is defined in section 2 of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947, that any dispute or difference between employer and employer, or between employers and workmen, or between workmen and workmen, which is connected with the employment or non-employment of the terms employment or with the condition of labor of any person, will be deemed as industrial disputes. Now, objective of this act, now basically this act has been enacted for the promotion of measures for securing and preserving amity and good relation between the employers and the workers. Also to investigate and settlement of industrial disputes. Also to prevent illegal strikes and lockouts. Also to relieve workmen in the matter of layoff and retrenchment. Also in the promotion of collective bargaining. Basically, this is a measure, prime measure of collective bargaining process. So, basically when we talk about industrial disputes or industrial disputes resolving machinery, and when we talk about preventive machinery, we use all preventive machinery to restore or to prevent the industrial disputes within the organization. Now, features of this act. This act extends to the whole of India, including the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It encourages arbitration over the disputes between employers and employees. As we all know, arbitration is a process whereby parties need not to go in the court of law, and they need not to go for adjudication process. So, all the organizations, workers and management, they prefer arbitration process over adjudication process. So, it provides for setting up of works committee as machinery for mutual consultation between employers and employees, and to promote cordial relations between them. This act also paved the way for setting up permanent conciliation machinery at various stages, having definite time limits for conciliation and arbitration. As I had already told you that workers as well as employers, they they want to avoid the process of adjudication. So, they go under conciliation and arbitration process. So, we will discuss these processes also in detail. This act emphasizes on compulsory adjudication besides conciliation and voluntary arbitration of industrial disputes. Now, if we talk of the machinery for industrial dispute resolving, we divide this machinery into two parts. One is preventive machinery and second is settlement machinery. So, in preventive machinery, we use various measures to prevent the industrial disputes, and these measures are basically collective bargaining, workers' participation in management, and works committees, joint management councils, bipartite committees, works committees. All these grievances handling, all these measures are preventive machineries. And these are used to prevent the grievances within the organization. They also use various disciplinary procedures. For all these means, the process should be very clear and it should be understandable. Then only we can solve the matter with the help of preventive machinery. Otherwise, disputes will go under settlement machinery. So, the act empowered the government to make reference of the dispute to an appropriate authority, and appropriate authority may be labor courts, industrial tribunals or national tribunals, depending upon the nature of the dispute, either on its own or on the request of the parties. That does mean either parties themselves can decide that which authority they want to go to. It may be labor court, industrial tribunal and national tribunal, depending. See, this is the basically this is dependent upon the nature and severity of the issue of the dispute. So, either they can choose their own on their own, or it can be chosen by some authorities by the request of the disputed parties. Disputed parties are workers and management. The right to strike by the workers and lockout by the employees has been subjected to the restrictions as laid down in the act. See, when we talk about industrial disputes, strikes and lockouts, they are included in that, and we will study these strikes and lockouts with all the provisions in later on. The act prohibits strike and lockouts during the pending of counselling and arbitration proceedings and in public utility service, and it empowers government to take adequate actions. Now, when we study various provisions of strikes and lockouts, we will study what are the basic rules for strikes and lockouts, when workers can go on strike, when lockouts can be happen by the employer, in which cases, in which situations strikes and lockouts will be illegal in nature. So, if they are illegal in nature, they can be questioned in the court of law. Now, various terms under the Act, Industrial Disputes Act. First is appropriate government. Appropriate government, basically it may be central government or state government, as the case may be. If we talk about railways, so in railways the appropriate government will also be always central government, and in other establishments it will be state government. It does mean that they have the rights to regulate or exercise or give the directions to the organization as per their jurisdictions. In the organizations where central government is appropriate government, that does mean central government has the jurisdiction to give them any directions or amend any laws or regulate any or exercise any law. Then comes the award. This is section 2B. Award is basically any interim or final decision by any industrial tribunal on disputes thereof by an labor court or tribunal. Basically, when we go under arbitration process and the decision given by the arbitration process, that is called an award, and this award is binding on both the parties. Now, next is arbitrator. This is section 2AA. Basically, arbitrator is one who is appointed as an arbitrator under the arbitration process by the appropriate government, and we can define arbitrator as an umpire or any person who is appointed to determine differences and disputes between two parties. Now, next are wages. We have studied wages in detail in Payment of Wages Act, but here also, because so many disputes are related to wages, so we have to define wages also. This is section 2 RR. It means all remuneration capable of being expressed in terms of money if the term of employment were fulfilled, be payable to a workman in respect of his employment or of work done in such employment. That does mean, it simply says any remuneration payable to the worker is wage. Now, next is industry. Industry is defined in section 2I. Industry means any systematic activity carried on by cooperation between an employer and his workmen, whether such workmen are employed by such employee directly or by or through any agency, including a contractor for the production, supply or distribution of goods or services with a view to satisfy human wants or wishes with a motive to make any gain or profit, not merely spiritual or religious, right. That does mean any industry where workmen are working and they have been hired by the employer directly or indirectly, and people are working there, is called industry. Then workman means any person including an appropriate employed in any industry to do any manual, unskilled, skilled, technical, operational, clerical or supervisory work. That does mean all the works are included in the definition: manual, unskilled, skilled, technical, operational, clerical or supervisory work. For hire or reward, the terms of employment be express or implied, and there should be a contractual relationship between master and servant. That this is the main point, that there must be a contractual relationship between both of them, then only it will be deemed as a workman. Now, industrial establishment. This is section 2KA. We have studied industrial establishment in detail in Factories Act. Now, here also, because we are using this term very importantly, prominently, so we will discuss about industrial establishment. This means an establishment or undertaking in which industry is carried on. Now, next is public utility service. Basically, when we talk about industrial disputes, public utility service are importantly defined, because in these services also we have certain rules and regulations for strikes and lockouts. That means for workers and for employer both. So, this means any industry specified in the first schedule of Industrial Disputes Act 1947 can be declared as public utility service by government through a notification in the official gazette for a fixed period, which is not more than 6 months for the first instance. Now, next is settlement. This is section 2P. Settlement is basically a written agreement between employer and workmen, where both of them are ready to solve the dispute, and they get an agreement where both of them are agreed. So, this is a written agreement between the employer and the workmen arrived in the course of conciliation proceeding provided. Such agreement has been signed by the parties thereto in the manner prescribed. A copy has been sent to an officer authorized by the appropriate government, and the conciliation officer. Now, we will discuss about the authorities under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. As I had already told you that we have so many authorities under this act to resolve the disputes within the organizations. So, we start with the process of conciliation. If the problem solves there, it is okay, otherwise it will go under the process of arbitration. Arbitration can be voluntary arbitration or compulsory arbitration, and depending upon the situation it has been decided to go which kind of arbitration under. And then if the problem solves under the arbitration process, then it is okay, otherwise it will not the problem is not properly discussed or properly resolved, they will go under the process of adjudication. As we have studied in previous slides that employer as well as workers, they just avoid going under the process of adjudication. So, in maximum times they try the conciliation process and arbitration process to restore the issues, resolve the issues. Now, in conciliation process, this is the basically process where conciliation officers or board of conciliation, depending upon the severity of the matter, this severity has been decided by the appropriate government, and depending upon the severity of the matters, conciliation officer or board of conciliation has been appointed by appropriate government. As I had already told you that works committee, these are works committees are bipartite resolving machinery, where works committee works under within the organization, and it consists of representatives from employer and from the workers. And works committees are related to the matters related to the day to day matters of the organization, where if there is any issue, day to day issue in the organization, in the workplace, works committee is there to handle the issue. Then if conciliation process resolve the matters, then it is okay, otherwise it will, the matter will go under the arbitration process, where in this in the way where we have conciliation board, we have arbitration board or arbitration officer, depending upon the severity of the matter, that which will be decided by the parties, disputed parties and the appropriate government, they will go under the arbitration process. And court of inquiry is the authority under arbitration process, where they try the trial has been the trial undergoes in the court of inquiry, and in the process of arbitration, whatever is the decision given by the arbitration, which that is mandatory on both the parties. That does mean, when we say it is mandatory, that does mean there is some legality attached to the arbitration process, which conciliation lacks, because in conciliation process what they do is they support the parties, and they suggest various alternate solutions to the problem, and try to get an amicable solution to the parties, where both of them are ready to resolve the matter, right. But in arbitration process what they do, they give their decision to the parties, which is called an award, and that award is binding on both the parties. That does mean they have to follow the decision given in the award by the arbitrator. Yes, if they have any disagreements, if any of the parties having disagreements with the award given by the arbitrator, they have all the rights to go to the adjudication process. Now, finally, if no problem is solved under conciliation or arbitration or both the steps, then the disputed parties have all the rights to go to the adjudication process, where trial adjudication means trial of a matter in court of law. So, we have three authorities under adjudication process. First is labor court, second is industrial tribunal, and third is national tribunal. Now, we will discuss all these authorities, their duties and rights in detail. Now, first of all, we will discuss works committee, which is under conciliation process. Now, Works Committee is given under section 3. The Works Committees are constituted based on appropriate government's order, where applicable to industrial establishment in which 100 or more workmen are employed on any day in the preceding 12 months. It is provided that any organization where 100 or more, minimum 100 or more workers are working, Works Committee has to be applied in the organization. This consists of representatives of employees and workmen engaged in the establishment. That I had in previous slide, I told you that Works Committee is internal committee of the organization, which consists of representatives from workers and employer, and they are in equal numbers. To Works Committee is to promote measures for securing and preserving good relations between employer and employees. They have to strive for maintaining the differences of opinion in regard to matters of mutual interest of both the parties. Now, Works Committees are entitled to discuss grievances arising out of the disciplinary action, take up such matters which fall under the purview of standing orders. They can enter into agreement with the employer on changes in conditions of work, and Works Committee can compose differences by making recommendations. That does mean that Works Committee finally they recommend with the recommend various recommendations to the management if they want to make any changes in the day to day working, or if they want to change any schedules or something like that. Basically they deal with the day to day working. They are not administrative in nature. If we talk about administration, we have joint management councils within the organizations. Joint management councils are also internal authorities within the organization, same as Works Committee. The basic difference between Works Committee and joint management councils are that Works Committee deal with the day to day matters, and joint management councils are administrative and consultative in nature. So, they participate in all those administrative and consultative issues, if there is so. Now, next authorities, conciliation officers. Conciliation officers are section 4, and they are appointed by the appropriate government by notification in the official gazette. In official gazettes, appropriate government appoints a specified number of persons as it think fit to be conciliation officers. Conciliation officer may be appointed for a specified area or for specified industries in specified area, either by permanent or for a limited period, and a conciliation officer shall be deemed to be as a public servant as under section 21 of Indian Penal Code 1860, because they are included in disputed matters. So, IPC also play a role under this act. Now, what are the duties? When any industrial dispute exists, the conciliation officer should hold conciliation proceedings in a prescribed manner without delay to have right settlement. Whether settlement is reached or not, the conciliation officer must submit the report within 14 days of the commencement of the counselling proceeding or within the date fixed by the appropriate government. See, matter has been solved or not. Conciliation officer has to make his report, or he has to give his report, submit his report to the appropriate government within the 14 days or any date fixed by the appropriate government. If the report submitted is satisfied to the appropriate government, it may or may not refer the dispute to any authority under the act. If the government is not making any reference, it should record and communicated the reason to the contending parties. The duty of a conciliation officer is administrative and not judicial, as I had already told you that there is some attachment of judiciary in the process of arbitration, not in the course of conciliation. Then Board of Conciliation discussed in section 5, appropriate government may, as occasion arises, by notification in official gazette, constitutes a body of conciliation for promoting the settlement of an industrial dispute. A board shall consist of a chairman and 2 or 4 other members, as I had already told you that if the dispute or the matter is serious or involve many disputes, then Board of Conciliation is appointed, and the numbers of that board is in odd numbers. One person will be the chairperson, who will be the independent person, and others will be the members of the board, and they are equal in number, and they are appointed with the recommendation of the disputed parties. Then provided that if any party fails to make a recommendation as aforesaid within the prescribed time, the appropriate government shall appoint such persons as it thinks fit to represent the party. See, I had told you that Board of Conciliation members are appointed with the consent of both the disputed parties. If any of the party fails to give the names of their representatives, then the board will be constituted by the appropriate government itself. A board having the prescribed quorum may act notwithstanding the absence of the chairman or any of its members or any vacancy in its number. Then it is provided that if the appropriate government notifies the board that the services of the chairman or of any other member have ceased to be available, the board shall not act until a new chairman or member has been appointed. Now, duties of conciliation board: when a dispute has been referred to a board, it will investigate the matter affecting the merits and right settlement of the dispute without delay. Whether settlement is reached or not, the board must submit the report within 2 months of the date on which the dispute was referred to it, and if no settlement is arrived, the government may refer the dispute to the labour court, industrial tribunal or national tribunal, as I had already told you that this is arbitration. Otherwise, then in this case, if the conciliation process fails, then the process will go under the arbitration and adjudication. Now, duties of conciliation board: they have to submit the report within the period. It may be in writing and signed by all the parties to the dispute. Report of the board shall be in writing. As I had already told you, the report submitted shall be published by the appropriate government within 30 days from the receipt, and a board of conciliation can only try to bring about a settlement. It has no power to impose settlement on the parties to the dispute, as I had already told you that there is no legality attached into the process of conciliation. Thank you so much. This is all for today. Thank you.